Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. It is July 26th, about 10 a.m. Beautiful, clear skies. Sunday morning. The weather is about 80 degrees, but with the heat index and the humidity, it's definitely north of 90 degrees. So the day has come. Today, I am finally harvesting the honey. So, in comparison to last year, we're about 6 weeks behind schedule. And speaking of last year, I purchased this fume board, and I did not have a chance to use it because when I harvested the honey then, it was pretty overcast. So to use the fume board, you want nice sunny skies, clear skies, so the sun can heat up the top there. It looks like a solar panel, and basically heat up the, I don't remember what it's called, but I'll show you later in the video. It's acid. It smells like roses, I believe, or no, cherries. It smells like cherries, and the bees don't like it. It drives them down into the brood chamber and out of the honey super. So the backup plan, similar to last year, different make and model, but same thing, same tool. You may have seen other folks use it, you may not have, but if the fume board doesn't work, I will simply blow the bees out of the honey super. Yeah, so if I end up using that, you'll see what that looks like. I'd say it gets a little violent, definitely irritates the bees, that's for sure, blowing them straight out of the honey super off the frames and everything. I do have a brush, I may use that as well, so we'll just kind of see how things go. But I just wanted to show you the different tools I plan on using today to harvest the honey. So enough of that, let me get this stuff out of the bee yard because I'm not ready to use it just yet, or at least move it out of the way so I can work. And then we'll get into hive number one. Okay, let's move this over here like usual. Okay, should be enough smoke. Moved a few things around, trying to make more room in the bee yard because I plan on making some splits and everything. That should work for now. Actually, let me put this over here. Yes, it looks like the extra few weeks paid off. This honey is ready to go. So that's the fourth frame. That's the frame I usually share a picture of. That's why I looked at that one first. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Same thing on that side. Let's check the center frame. Not so much on that side. They don't really have a lot of nectar in any of that though. Yeah, so I plan on pulling the honey after I inspect them. Meaning, I'm gonna inspect them first, put the super back on, put the fume board on, let it do its thing while I finish up inspecting hive number 2, and then I'll come back to this hive to finish up pulling the honey. Actually, let me do this. I'm doing this all out of order. So I made a split from this hive last week. I moved, I think, 3 frames into the nuke, which is number 7. I'm just separating the frames a little bit so I can move through them a little faster, I guess. Let me get the queen cage ready in case I find her. Can cage her and then check the rest of the frames without worrying about damaging her or killing her. Yeah, I felt pretty comfortable making the split last week because I knew the honey was most likely going to be ready to pull this week, and it looks like it is. So I felt good making the split and not moving frames from another established colony into this one to give them a boost in bees so they can keep foraging. So this queen is still Mark II, and I'm out here a little earlier today. The sun hasn't exactly peeked over the trees here, so the lighting is a little different, more shadows, which makes it kind of difficult to see. They're doing a nice job packing the honey on that frame. Yeah, this queen, or not the queen really, but the bees have had a queen cell waiting on me practically every week. I've inspected them. There's some brood. Whole bunch of pollen on that side. Brood, pupated larvae surrounding it, and if you follow the pupated larva, as it gets smaller, smaller, and smaller, I can see some eggs. So the queen's still here, she's still laying. Didn't really have a doubt that that was happening. Same thing on this side. That might look like spotty brood to you, but it just looks like the bees have hatched out. The bees have cleaned out the open cells, and there's pupated larvae down in there. Same on this side, to include eggs. I've said that in a previous video as well, quite a while ago. If you have a flashlight, just any old flashlight, try using that sometimes, or sometime, to look down into the cells surrounding capped brood, just in case you think the queen you have is not doing a good job and it's spotty brood, as people refer to it. You'd be surprised to see eggs down in some of those cells. That's what I thought initially when I saw brood like that. There's the queen right there. Let me cage her just because I have 3 more frames to look at, just in case I come across a queen cell or something. Yeah, what I was saying is I thought the queen I had at the time wasn't doing a good job laying, like the brood pattern wasn't the best because it looked like there wasn't anything around some of the capped brood. It just looked like open cells and everything, and then once I started using a flashlight, I was able to determine that those frames that I thought were spotty and the cells were empty, I mean, they had eggs in practically every single cell. So the point is, if you have a flashlight, try using it sometime to shine into the darker cells, and you might be surprised with what you find as far as a ton of eggs. Yeah, so when I follow up with pulling the honey, I think later today I'll come out, maybe not all at once, I'll just come out later. I'll remove one of these frames and add a division board feeder, an in-hive feeder, because apparently there's a difference. Alright, let's release the queen and get him caged, or get him boxed back up. Alright, there she goes. Down here they're getting a little frustrated, I guess. Alright, let me grab what I need for the fume board and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. This is what I was referring to. It's called a honey robber. Definitely has a strong smell to it. So let me just show you how to use this. I think a little goes a long way. So you just that's all you gotta do. Just get some into the fume board and then simply swap out the fume board, or the top cover with the fume board, and I plan on giving them until I am done with hive number 2. I'll come back, we'll take a look at the honey super and see if this works. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes or so. I just got done inspecting hive number 2. So let's take a look back into hive number 1's honey super and see if the honey robber and the fume board has done its job. I can definitely smell it. I know you guys can't, but I can definitely smell it. Let's see if it's driven the bees out of the super. And it doesn't look like it. Go figure. Okay, so maybe it's because I had the inner cover on, which is blocking a lot of the fumes. So let's do this. Yeah, I can, it's on there for sure. Alright, let me put it back on, minus the inner cover. I'm going to inspect hive number 3, and by the time I'm done with them, let's recheck hive number 1 to see if the fume board and honey robber has driven the bees out of the honey super. So give it another 15 minutes and we'll see how things are going. All right, let's take another look at hive number 1 now that I've moved or removed the inner cover. And if you can't see that over my shoulder, maybe the fume board is actually doing its job, because that's unusual for being about 30 minutes post-inspection. So yeah, let's take another look at hive number 1. Hopefully that's a sign that the fume board is doing its job and the bees are trying to get away from the smell of the honey robber. And, well, here we go. Oh wow. Okay, so if you want to use the fume board correctly, don't put the inner cover on. That was kind of dumb. I don't know if you can see that or not. Actually, let's go this way. But yeah, it has driven out every single bee from the super. So I'd say that works. All right, I'm gonna get this loaded onto my cart, covered up with a towel so the bees aren't interested in anymore. I'll be right back. Okay, back at hive number 1 for like the 4th time or something. But this time around, I'm down here to remove a frame so I can fit a 1-gallon division board feeder in the colony. I don't know if you can hear that or not. I'll stop talking for a second, but listen to them. I don't think they were quite happy with the honey robber product. I mean, it did work. It worked as advertised, which I'm happy to finally experience a year later. But I don't think the bees enjoy that or not. Well, I don't think they enjoy it. All right, let me move 2 frames. This frame's got some nice wax drawn, so I'll leave that in place. I have my 1-gallon division board feeder from Man Lake. These are a little different from the brushy mountain feeders I bought back in, I think, towards the end of 2018. These seem to fit a little better, so maybe the specs are slightly different. I don't have to force the 9th frame into the hive as much as I do with the other feeders, which is why I think the specs are a little different. Let me get just a little more sugar water and I'll be right back. Oh man, smokers going crazy. So just take a little more to top off. Oh, whoa, whoa, oh man. Let's try not to spill any this time, like I think hive number 3. But it looks like you gotta watch the outside, not just where the bees feed from. Okay, anyway. This is gonna be tight. Sometimes you got more space between frames than you realize. Actually, you know what I did with another frame? I moved the one frame into the first position, and then the last frame I'm trying to add, I was able to get it between 2 frames better than trying to fit it between a frame and the feeder. But yeah, sometimes it's pretty darn tight, and it looks like that's how this is gonna go. There we go. Not really. off a little. Let's see if we can. Let's pull it up. It's when you have frames that have, the bees have worked, they have enough propolis built up on it to where it makes it just that much, it makes it just that difficult to get in between the frames sometimes. But it is not impossible. You just got to keep working it. Jeez. Okay. And here I'll show you what's causing all the problems. That right there, that little bit of propolis and wax that was built up on the sidebars makes it just that tight for the frame to fit in, but it's there. Alright, so the other part of my plan for winter prep is to add a medium with 10 frames, or 10 frames and new foundation. I have those ready, so let me go grab one. I'll add it to hive number 1 here, and that will be it for this week. Alright, so I will show you what I'm adding as well, and I'll explain why I'm showing this to you. So I believe it was last year I purchased these frames, the yellow foundation for whatever reason from Man Lake or Kelly Bees. And if you look back at some older posts, I was trying to feed the hives with a 2-gallon bucket, and for whatever reason the hives that had the yellow foundation, like the bees, did not want to work that at all. So not sure why, but you saw what I just did. I just added 1 gallon of 1-to-1 syrup, a medium with 10 frames, excuse me, with brand new yellow foundation. So hive number 2 has already started to draw out some of the new frames. It took them about 2 weeks to start showing signs that they're working it. So I will check on hive number 1 next week and the following week, and hopefully I can see that they've started to work some of the new foundation. Alright, that does it for hive number 1. Pulled the super. Fume board worked as advertised, I believe. It seemed like it drove a lot of bees down out of the honey super. I mean, there was practically none in there. If anybody else is using a fume board for the first time, here's a tip. Remove the inner cover. So if you watch the video, I left the inner cover on. 15 minutes later, after I got done inspecting hive number 2, they still had, well, there was still plenty of bees in there. And then I had the thought that maybe the inner cover is blocking a lot of the fumes, which it seems like it was. Removed the inner cover, put the fume board back on. By the time I got done inspecting hive number 3, about 12 to 15 minutes later, rechecked hive number 1, and bam, voila, no bees in the honey super. So I believe the fume board works as advertised, as long as a few things happen. 1, it's a sunny day, and 2, you don't leave the inner cover on. So that's just my thoughts. Okay, that does it. Hive number 1. Honey's finally been pulled, about 6 weeks late in comparison to last year. To recap, I added a medium super with brand new frames. That's my overwintering plan and my spring 2021 plan. And that does it. I'm gonna get out of the heat for a little bit because it is probably, if it's not over 100 degrees by now, it's getting pretty darn close. Alright, hey again everybody, thanks for watching. If you haven't done so, please subscribe. And check back next week for weekly updates of hive number 1 to see if they've started to work the new frames or not. Busy day out here. Appreciate everybody watching. See y'all next week.